So today I'm going to go and discuss with you the top 10 ways to store and preserve carrots. Now, I don't have Bam with me today, so it's just you and I. Okay, it's just you and I sitting down having a conversation about the best way to store your carrots, because this year Aldi in the UK are putting a price cap on their Christmas vegetables, and one of those is carrots. So we can now purchase from the 18th of December a 1 kilo bag of carrots for 19p, which is about a third of what they are charging normally. Okay, so if you go and buy 5 bags, and that's going to cost you about 95p, you can have 5 kilos of carrots. But you're going to want to know how to store those and to preserve them so that they're not going to go to waste because they've gone off before you can use them. And that's what we're going to discuss today. Okay, but we're going to start off by storing them fresh. So first off, before you do anything else, you need to get those carrots out of the plastic bags. Plastic bags and carrots are a really, really bad idea, because a carrot is a living, breathing plant. And you've probably already noticed yourself, if you leave a bag of carrots in the bag without it being opened, etc., there you get a lot of condensation on the inside of the bag. Well, it's the same principle as if you're sitting in a car and you've got all the windows shut, and all of a sudden it starts to fog up and then you start getting condensation on the windows. Well, that's what's happening with carrots in a plastic bag. They do exactly the same thing, and that's so they're sitting in their own breathing sweat kind of thing, and then they sweat, and then they start to rot, and then they go mushy, and then they're nasty, and you don't want to open the packet. You don't want to do it. So they get thrown away, and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe to you and point you in the direction of people who have written blogs on this. I have a blog post for this as a companion to this video, and the link to that will be down below in the description. Okay, now to store your carrots fresh, there are 2 ways. If you have an outside space like a shed or a storage unit or whatever outside that is able to be made safe from rodents, etc., and can be kept fairly dark, then you can actually use wooden crates, plastic boxes, all of these kinds of things, and what you do is you put a 2-inch, so 4 centimeter layer of sand or sawdust in the bottom of that, and then you're going to layer your carrots in one layer across that. Now you can put them end to end so that you're filling up the whole box, or if you've got really, really big carrots in a smaller box, then you're going to put just one layer. But then you're going to layer it again with another 2 inches of sand or sawdust and do another lot of carrots. And then you're going to do that until the whole box is full, and then you put another 2 inches of the sawdust or the sand over the top. Those will keep the carrots relatively fresh for several weeks, possibly months. Okay, and that's a huge thing that you can do, massive. All right, second thing that you can do is, if you have only your fridge, what you want to do is you want to use the crisper box and layer the base of it with kitchen roll or a clean tea towel, and you're going to put your carrots in there. They will not last as long, but they will last better. And if you clean out your box on a regular basis and put in a new cloth or a new piece of paper or whatever, kitchen roll or whatever, it will, when you see it getting a bit damp, you want to get that out as quickly as possible and go through your carrots. Yeah, so that's how you're going to store them fresh. All right, you can keep them in the dark in a cold cupboard, either using the sand method or just in a box, but they're not going to last as long if they're not kept in sand or sawdust. But yeah, that you can do it that way if that's what you have. Now the second way is freezing. Now if you have a decently sized freezer, you can store your carrots in there, but there is a little bit of work that needs to be done first. Now you want to cut your carrots into the shapes that you want first off, whether you want to do them as sticks, whether you want to do them in roasting pieces, whether you want to do them in dice, whether you want to have some grated frozen carrot. If you want to do slices, like little round rings, you can do those. You can do country chunk, so they're a little bit thicker rings, that kind of thing. But any of those, other than the grated carrot, you want to blanch first. Now it's entirely up to you whether you peel the carrots or not, but I would suggest peeling them so that you get a better end product. The peels you can use to either go on a compost heap, or they can be used in stock or in soup or something like that. You don't have to waste them. All right, they don't have to be wasted. So don't think that it's a wasteful exercise. It's not necessarily a wasteful exercise. But blanching your carrot pieces, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to do that with the grated carrot. But for the pieces, I would suggest blanching them, which means putting them in a pot of hot water that is boiling. Put the carrots in there, bring it back up to the boil, and have them going for about 1 or 2 minutes. You don't want any longer than that because you don't want them to cook fully, because the freezing process will actually break down some of the cellular structure and will create that already cooked thing. Okay, once they're done, you want to drain them off and pat them dry. Okay, and we're going to put them in a single layer across a baking sheet and put them in the freezer. Once they're frozen, you can pull that out, pop them in their little baggies or whatever containers you've got, and put them back in the freezer for use whenever you want them. Okay, now the reason that we do it on a baking sheet first is because if you put them in to their baggies or containers as they are, they will freeze possibly in a lump, and as you try to break them off, the pieces will break. It could be really difficult. You could end up having to defrost the lot to get the few that you need, whereas if you dry them and freeze them individually, then you can go in and get a handful of what you need without too much of an issue. Okay, so that is freezing. Now the third way we can preserve our carrots is to dehydrate them. Now if you're lucky enough to have a dehydrator, you may have a round one or a square one or a more catering quality one, which I have. Either way, you can use that to dehydrate some of your carrots. Now again, it doesn't matter what shape you use. You can dehydrate them grated, in rings, in dice, in sticks, whatever. You can do that. Now they are really good to use in soups and stews and all of that kind of thing. You can also rehydrate them and roast them off, or just heat them up, or whatever you need to do, right? But they will take anywhere between 8 to 12 hours on 50 degrees Celsius, or that's 125 Fahrenheit. Okay, you can also dehydrate mashed carrot, or mashed carrot. Let's just do that. But you need silicone trays, or if you're using the ring variety, the circular variety of dehydrator, the leather ring that goes on the inside. That will take a little bit longer. It will take about 12 to 14 hours. But it can also be used as carrot powder, or carrot flakes if you want to do like a mashed carrot later on. So it's another product that you can have, keeping it in a jar on your shelf, not having to worry about the cost of electric to keep it going in the freezer or anything like that. So I really do like having dehydrated carrots around, because it's very useful to me when I'm doing things like making soups, etc., or even making veg stock powders. Okay, it's always good to have some carrot powder on the shelf for that reason. Now the fourth way we're going to look at is water bathing. Now I know that there's a bone of contention about this because it's a non-acidic food, but water bathing carrots has been done for decades and decades and is still done by 3/4 of the world. So all I would say is this: you can add a tablespoon, if you feel that it's necessary, add a tablespoon of vinegar or lemon juice to your jars with a teaspoon of salt, and you can water bath them for 2 hours. If you don't want to put those ingredients in, then you want to water bath them for around 3 hours. And I would suggest, if you are going to water bath, you either use thick rings, ring slices, so the chunky ring slices, or carrot sticks. Again, all of this you need to do your own research for. There are links in the blog to people who have already done this, and they will be able to show you step by step just how well it's done. I don't actually have any carrots in the house because, again, we are in the same boat as many people and are waiting for these to come out as price capped for the 18th of the month. Number 5 is fermented carrots. Now, fermented carrots are really, really good for you, and they're a very simple way of pickling foods that you don't want to have taking up space in the fridge or the freezer or anything like that, or using a lot of time on the stove. Now, fermented carrots can be done in lots of different ways. They are incredibly good for you, and they can be eaten raw or cooked. So they take probably 10, 15, 20 minutes of prep, depending on how many you're doing, and you leave them to do their own thing in their fermenting jar that you've got them in. Now, if you don't have airlocks or special lids with airlock ability or a fermenting jar to do them in, as I showed in my potato video, then you can put them in a clip jar or even a normal jar, but just keep the lid fairly loose. But you're going to have to go in there 2 or 3 times a day to actually burp the jar and let the gases out, because fermentation creates a lot of gas and that could make your jar explode. So you want to make sure that you burp the jar. The other thing about fermented food is it creates lactobacillus bacteria, which is incredibly good for gut health. And it is suggested in a lot of places to actually ferment a lot of these root vegetables before you cook with them or eat them, because you will get more nutrients from them and it changes the structure of the sugars in them as well. So, as I said, there will be links in the blog, where the link is in the description, to blogs, etc., where have done this already. Number 6 is pickled carrots. Yes, pickling is a thing, and there are a couple of different ways of doing it. Pickling, for the most part, is storing food in vinegar or acid. So it could be lemon juice, but most popularly it is vinegar, and it's up to you what vinegar you have in the house. The stronger the vinegar, like the darker the vinegar, the stronger it's going to be. White vinegar you could do a sweet pickle with, add a little bit of sugar to it if that's what you want to do. If you're using apple cider vinegar, which is my preference when it comes to pickling other than onions, that's a possibility as well. And you could also use brown vinegar, but you are going to get, or malt vinegar. That's not a suitable one, nor is the white vinegar if you have a gluten intolerance, so you want to be using things like apple cider vinegar for those purposes. So if you are going to be pickling carrots, you don't need to blanch them. You can pop them in raw into the pickling brine, and use them as you wish, and they are shelf stable. They're completely shelf stable. They don't need to be water bathed or anything like that. You can just leave them alone in a dark cupboard with the lid on to do their thing in their own time, but it will take several weeks until they're ready. And number 7 on the list is pressure canning your carrots. Pressure canning is very big in the US and in Canada, but it's not as big anywhere else in the world, mostly because the cost of the pressure canner is exorbitant. A friend of mine in Australia has looked for them there, and she's looking at them, and they're going to cost her something like $1,000. It's mostly due to shipping costs, etc., and that kind of thing, but they are also an investment item and piece of equipment to your household. I don't personally pressure can at all. I don't do it. Not only because I can't afford a pressure canner, but because I've had my own accident, which I did explain in the potato video if you have watched that. But that has put me off for life. However, if you do have a pressure canner, if you are comfortable using it, if you have done your research on it, then go ahead and pressure can your carrots. Do you, boo? I don't care. That's fine. You know, these are just options. What I have done is in the blog, I have put links to videos. I will not put down blog instructions for something like pressure canning. I want you to see it from somebody who knows what they're doing from scratch, and they will be in the blog. So yeah, that's all I can tell you about pressure canning, because I don't know anything about it. Okay, but it is something that is gaining a little bit of momentum here in the UK. So like I said, if that is something that you are learning or you are doing, I will place you over to in the hands of people who really know what they're doing and that I trust them completely. Next, we're going to be looking at side dishes and meals. Now, purposely creating meals and side dishes out of carrots to go in the freezer, to go in the water bath, to go in the pressure canner, and even possibly in the dehydrator, for, you know, on the go grab and go meals that can be thrown in, you know, in a backpack if that's necessary. These are all things that can be done. Now, there are as many different there are millions, there are hundreds of millions of recipes of what to do with carrots as far as side dishes are concerned. Some of my favorites I actually am quite happy to do on the occasion that I can get the little baby carrots or the chantenay carrots. I will place them in a foil with some honey, with some butter, with a little bit of fresh thyme, and I will but they will be pre-blanched. The carrots will be pre-blanched, and they'll be put in that foil container in the freezer, ready to be pulled out whenever we need it to go with something for dinner as a side dish. It's already done. It's already done, prepped. I very rarely buy anything like that because they're just so expensive. But if I do find the odd packet that's been reduced, I will grab those and make up that side dish to go away for, it could even be for Christmas, you know, and that's one less thing I have to worry about because I know that it's already in the freezer ready to go. So entirely up to you if you want to make carrot pancakes, you know, or, you know, grated vegetable pancakes that have got carrots in them or anything like that. Even if you're making carrot cakes, they can freeze down. It's not a problem. And then it's away. You know, if you're going to be making a carrot cake and you only use, you know, a couple of slices here and there, pre-slice it, wrap it up well, and keep it in the freezer and pull out a slice the night before you need it, or a couple of hours before you need it, because it doesn't take very long to defrost. So all of those things can be done as well. Soup. We all love our soup. Carrot soups. There's 1,000,001 different carrot soups out there. Well, I prefer to have my carrot soups I think when I was working as a chef, carrot and orange and carrot and coriander soup were two of the most popular soups, and we just made them for years. And honestly, I kind of got over it. They're not my favorites, if that makes sense. What I prefer to do is roast off some carrots with some Middle Eastern spices and make a soup out of that, rather than, you know, the others. But it's entirely up to you. At the end of the day, you're the one eating it, and if they're flavors that you like, make them up, put them in a little takeaway container, so you can either take them to work with you, or you can pull them out for a very quick meal if and when you need them. I prefer to put my soups in little baggies, and I put a cup's worth in a very small snack bag. I seal it up and I place them on a baking tray flat, so that they will freeze flat, and then I put them in my freezer like files in a filing cabinet, so that I can just pull one out when I need them. And it takes up much less space that way as well. The other things with soups as well, you can water bath them, you can pressure can them. They will keep for about 3 or 4 days in the fridge. Sometimes if you know, if all you've got left is a few wonky carrots, or you've gone to clean out the veg drawer from your fresh and you found a couple that are a little bit worse for wear, those are the ones to make your soup with. Make your soup, put it in the fridge. They're going to last 3 or 4 more days. You've got a couple more meals out of it. It makes sense to me. You know, because those few days make all the difference. So yeah, that's your soup. Now the last one we're going to cover is one of my bestest favourites. Now if you're looking for quick snacks and things, or different snacks, and instead of running out and going and buying a big share bag of whatever crisps and things, you can actually make crisps or chips out of carrot by using a veggie peeler, and you peel them in ribbons, and you can deep fry those. You could even bake them off if that's what you want, if you prefer to do that. And as long as they're dried off properly and then kept in an airtight container, you have those for a good week or 2. As long as, like I said, you've strained the oil off properly, you know, and put them away in the airtight container. But you need to make them very, very crisp as well. If you don't make them fully crisp, they will get soggy and they won't last so nicely. So it's an option, that, but again, it's something different in a way that can be preserved, that is going to keep those carrots that may be on their way out in a way that you're not going to be wasting them, and you're going to get something really yummy out of them too. Now, very, very importantly, I want to make this very, very clear to everyone watching this video. Whenever you are preserving any vegetable or product or ingredient, you must do your research. If you are not sure, ask questions. Find out. Go down the rabbit hole. Find all the information you can. Learn all about it, and then do it. Okay? See if you can find someone who's already done it. Talk to them about it. See what they say. Now, I will be making my own videos on many of these different ways that I have discussed, but it won't be until the new year, because we're waiting for the 18th to get our veg. You know, we might get a packet between now and then, but that's got to do us for actual meals. So until the 18th, we won't be purchasing a lot of these veg until, you know, then. So, you know, but like I said, I will be making videos on a lot of these over that time later on, just to show you guys what is possible. Okay, until then, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to be discussing parsnips. Yay! White carrots. And I'm going to give you top 10 ways that you can make the best use of your, how to store and how to preserve your parsnips. Okay, so have a really, really good one. Think about what your options might be. Think about what might be the cheapest and best way for you to do any of this. And feel free to leave me a comment or questions down below in the comments. And do go check out the blog, which will have good 2 or 3 dozen channels or blogs that you can go and visit to find out more. Okay, to start your research journey on. All right, I will see you guys later. Have a really good rest of your day. Love yous.